Hi, this is Jennifer from emulsifiedfamily.com. We're going to continue on today talking about raising children alongside a chef and kind of what that looks like, what that has looked like here in our home. Today I want to talk about the toddler years. So let's just think about a toddler, picture in your head in case you're a little past that phase. They don't sit still. They are on the go from the second they get up to the second they nap and then are up again. And yeah, it's crazy. I remember just once they start moving around that life was so different. I couldn't just walk out of the room because they would be into something no matter where I hid it. Our daughter would somehow find it. Or she'd be scooting around and somehow end up halfway under the sofa because then couldn't get out. You know, it's just different when the kids start moving around. I think this was a pretty big transition time for my husband as a chef. I know that most of us who have had an infant at some point have pictures of our chef lying on the sofa or on the bed with the baby asleep on top of them during the nap. I love those pictures. I love the pictures I have of my husband in his chef clothes with our sweet little baby, or sometimes more than one, like a baby and a toddler, on him, and they're all sleeping. I just love that. But when the kids become a toddler, that's not an option because toddlers just don't sit still ever. And so my husband would be ready to go to work, and instead of just sitting there snuggling with the little baby relaxing, instead he was playing something on the floor with them, or following them around, or they're following him around. It's just active, more active. And I know that that was a big change for him, and it was hard because he was tired. It's nice to be able to lay down and relax, and yeah, you can't do much of that with a toddler. Toddlers are also starting to learn new words and become more vocal, so that's a whole huge change in your family. At least it was in ours, when all of a sudden there's someone else that wants to be part of the conversation, even if you can't understand what they're saying. And so that was a change my husband and I had to get used to. That little time we had together, sharing the conversation. Because when you have an infant, you can just talk to each other whenever you want. But now when you have a toddler or preschooler and they want to talk a lot, sometimes all the time, it makes it hard to find that time to talk to each other. And it's a time of training your child not to interrupt and all that stuff. So that's a big change, and I know that's something that we struggled with a little bit. On the days my husband was off, they looked a little bit different with the toddler because we were out and about doing more things instead of just staying home relaxing because the baby wasn't sleeping all the time anymore. She wanted to get up and go do things and walk around places and go to the park. And so those are things that we did even when he was tired. He was such a great sport about it. But he did always, or almost, no, I'm not going to say almost always, he always napped when the baby napped, and that was great. And that gave me some time to do some stuff around the house as well when they were both sleeping. So I do think that the toddler phase was maybe more of an adjustment for my husband as a chef than the newborn stage was. Again, nothing changed at work. Still went to work, and the occasional person would ask about the kids at home or whatever. But his life was still the same at work. But when he came home, on top of that exhaustion from the kitchen was the exhaustion of a toddler. Now, my life, obviously, as a parent, I said before in the last video, you know, there's just no break. I did make the mistake of thinking that the days my husband was off, it would be my day off too, and that was, you know, I didn't make that mistake long because that's just a failure ready to happen, a disaster ready to happen. If anything, I was more on those days because I wanted to make sure that my husband had a restful and relaxing day as much as possible with a toddler. But yeah, those days when we would spend time as a family, I would, I guess, still not really get much of a break, but it was easier because there was someone to help with whatever our daughter needed. So that was nice, and I was grateful for that. He always was really good about cooking too, and still is when he's home. So I always do think it's because he would rather cook than brush a 2-year-old's teeth. As I tease him, I think it's easier for him to cook than to go do that. Or, you know, we have 3 girls, so it's easier for him to cook than to brush hair and help put pajamas on. So I'm always happy to let him cook and, oh, sorry, bumped the camera, and to let him cook and let me take care of those nighttime things. That seems to be work out well for our family. As far as my life as a chef wife during the toddler years, again, I was staying home full-time, and I didn't still have anyone to really talk to and continue to talk my husband's ear off when he would call or when he would come home late at night if I was still awake. But I do just remember being more physically exhausted than emotionally exhausted at this phase in life. With the constantly staying on top of what they're doing, making sure they're not into something they shouldn't be, on disciplining. I do have a few regrets in how I disciplined early on and not really enforcing the obeying the first time rule. We believe that our kids need to obey the first time they're asked to do something, because if they don't, that's disobeying. And I was not as consistent with that when our kids were young. And again, the majority of the time the kids are awake, it is just me with them. And so a lot of that disciplining does come onto me. Of course, when my husband is home, then he is there as well to do that. And that's nice to share that. But I am obviously with the kids a whole lot more. And especially if you look at your relationship and your kids' relationship to a different family whose spouse maybe doesn't work as many hours, just don't do that. Because your life is very different being married to a chef. For many, many years, I had no idea what it was like to have someone home at bedtime to put my kids to bed. And I remember laughing one day because one of my friends had been talking about how hard it was because last night her husband had to work late and she had to put her kids to bed by herself. And I don't think I laughed out loud, but in my head, I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. Because at that point, it actually was harder when my husband was home to put the kids to bed because they were so excited. They're like, Daddy, look at my new pajamas. Daddy, look at my toothbrush. Daddy, look at this cup that I'm going to use to rinse and spit when I use my toothbrush. Daddy, look at my new stuffed animal. Daddy, look at my pillow. Daddy, look at my bed. Daddy, look at my sheets. Seriously, like every night, that's what it was like. And so if he was home for bedtime, it took longer to put the kids to bed because they felt like they needed to show him everything. Even though he just really didn't care about their toothbrush, they needed to show it to him. So just don't compare yourself to other families. You have, be happy with your family. And while it might look different, it's your family and it's what you got. So don't compare it because it'll either make you laugh or cry, either one of those two. So it's better just to focus on your family and what you need to do. So it is hard. You are by yourself a lot, and a lot of the disciplining and stuff comes down to us because we are the ones with the kids most of the time. So I think that's about it. I know this was a longer video today, but there's just a lot on my heart about raising kids with a chef, and these little toddlers that are so very, very cute, but so very active and keeping us busy all day long. So to those of you with the toddlers at home, if you need to vent, feel free to do so on Facebook. There's lots of us to listen. Come find us on there, and you're not alone. I remember very well what it's like to be home with a toddler all day. It's exhausting, a lot of fun, but exhausting. So enjoy it while you can, because yes, I'll say the cliche thing, it goes by fast. I know you won't enjoy every moment of it because I know I didn't, but you will remember the good ones and the bad ones. But hopefully the good ones will stand out a little more in your mind. So thanks for listening. If you have any questions or have anything you want to add, as always, feel free to leave them in the comments below, and I'd love to chat back and forth with you. Thanks, guys.